Hi everybody and welcome to my channel, and here is some more James Bond trivia questions. This time Goldfinger. When Shirley Bassey recorded the theme song, she was singing as the opening credits were running on screen in front of her, so that she could match the vocals. When she hit the final high note, the TARDIS kept running and she was forced to hold the note until she almost passed out. This echoes the experience of Tom Jones when recording Thunderball. She has told the story that only managed to hold the note after removing a wrist blister she was wearing. Booze. Although to be considered for never appeared in a Bond movie, Michael Caine was the first person to hear the completed score for this movie. After he and roommate Terence Stamp were ejected from their apartment, Caine asked friend John Barry if he could use the spare bedroom at Barry's London residence, as they were good friends. Barry agreed, and for several months Caine clashed with Barry, and there was sleepless nights. He completed the iconic score at breakfast the following morning. Barry played the music for Caine the first time he performed it for anybody. The movie was the fastest grossing movie in movie history when it was released. It was entered in the Guinness Book of World Records. Aston Martin were literally reluctant to part with two of their cars for production. The producer had planned for the Aston Martin, but after the success of the movie, both at the box office and for the company, they never had to spend money on a car again. Sean Connery never travelled to the United States to film this movie. Every scene in which he appears in both the US were filmed at Pinewood Studios, outside London. This explains why Bond flips a light switch down to discover the golden corpse of Jill, as British light switches were genuinely turned on by flicking them down instead of up. According to director Guy Hamilton, who plays Felix, was the only main actor in the Miami sequence who was actually there. Connery, Gert Phobie, Shirley Eaton, Margaret Nolan and Austin Wells, who played Goldfinger's card victim, all filmed their parts while filming in Britain, with rear projection used in the case of Phobie and Wells standing for the long shots. The first appearance of the laser beam in a 007 movie in the original script, the scene had a spinning buzzsaw, as in the novel, until it was decided that such an image had become complex and unoriginal. The recreation of Fort Knox, reportedly at Pinewood Studios, was incredibly accurate, considering no one involved in this movie had been allowed inside the real location for security reasons. The set looked so real that a 24-hour guard it was placed on the Fort Knox set of Pinewood Studios so that pilferers would not steal the gold bar props. A letter to production from Fort Knox controller congratulated Ken Adam and his team on recreation Eric Goldfinger's 3D model map used for Operation Grand Slam. It is now housed in a permanent exhibition at the real Fort Knox. Pussy Galore, Arnie Blackman, introduces herself to James Bond, Sean Connery, who replies, "I must be dreaming." The original script had Bond replying, "I know who you are, but what's your name?" They deemed too suggestive and was changed or bleeped in some markets around the world, especially for the country of India. Gert Fawlby spoke very little English. So British actor Michael Collins dubbed his voice. Director Guy Hamilton introduced Fawlby to speak his lines in German quickly, which was assisted by the dubbing. Probably through Fawlby was speaking English in a few scenes, which reduced awareness of dubbing. In the trailer, Fawlby's own heavily voice is heard when Goldfinger tells James Bond, "Choose your next witticism carefully, Mr. Bond. It may be your last." Goldfinger wears a yellow or golden item of clothing virtually every scene. In the one that appears not, in which he wears a US Army colonel's uniform, carries a golden revolver. Thus, the James Bond films in his first Man with the Golden Gun. The producers wanted Orson Welles to play Auric Goldfinger, but Welles was too expensive, and Goldfinger began arguing over his salary. He wanted 10% from the movie's earnings, promoting the producer to wonder whether Welles would have been cheaper after all. Ian Fleming partly based the title character on his original 1959 novel, Goldfinger. Controversial architect Errol Goldfinger, when he learned that Fleming was naming the villain of the new James Bond novel, Goldfinger, threatened to file a lawsuit against Fleming's publisher in the effort to stop the book's publication. Fleming's publisher then contacted the author to inquire whether Fleming might consider renaming the character and the novel. Fleming replied he'd be delighted to alter the name if he could change the name of the character and the novel in Goldbrick. Fleming's publisher quickly settled the artist's lawsuit out of court. Sean Connery hit his back during the fight sequence with Odd Job in Fort Knox. This incident delayed filming, and some say that Connery used the injury to get a better deal out of the producers for the next 007 movie. Well, it's well known that Sean Connery was at loggerheads with them over money. Honor Blackman quit the role as Kathy Gale on The Avengers in 1960 to appear in the movie. A 1965 episode of The Avengers made a sly reference to this by having John Steed receive a Christmas card from Kathy Gale, sent from Fort Knox, Kentucky. It was the first two James Bond movies Ian Fleming visited the set during April 1964. He visited Doctor Strange at Pinewood Studios, where the film in the UK set pool scene. Sadly, he died a little less than a month before the film's release on August 12th, 1964. The role of Odd Job was the first screen role for a Japanese-American weightlifter and professional wrestler. He's such a success that he started a second career in movies, television and commercials. For some of these appearances, he was billed as Odd Job Sakata. He also appeared in Danger Grows Wild in 1966, which was based on an Ian Fleming story and directed by Bond director Terence Young. Gert Fawlby once said of his role in Goldfinger, "I'm a big man. I have a laugh too much to match my size. The ridiculous thing is that the scene I played Goldfinger in James Bond film, there are some people who insist on seeing me as cold, ruthless villain, a man without laughs." Sean Connery was married to Diana Kayante at the time, was one of bandage, clearly seeing some production stills over his wedding ring while filming. Worried studio executives from United Artists considered changing the name of Pussy Galore to Kitty Galore. The name Pussy Galore was not introduced on any trading cards during the movie's original release. as they were aimed at the youth. However, it later released cards such as part of the 007 spy films in 2002, specifically named Pussy Galore. First Bond movie to be shown on a US commercial television on Sunday, September the 17th, 1972, earning the highest Nielsen rating for single movie on television up to that time. 49% of the nation's viewers turned into that night, and ABC was shown the movie, retained the exact commercial US television rights to Bond film series for the next 28 years. Steven Spielberg charged this as his personal favourite of all the Bond movies, even his own Aston Martin DB5 due to the impact this movie had on him. In this movie, the accused character really director Guy Hamilton advised Diamond to inject humour into the character. Thus began the friendly antagonism between Q and Bond that became a recurring trend in the films. After attending the premiere in Rome, was asked by a journalist what he thought of the movie. He enthusiastic was film event. This is one of the films that make cinema carry on. During production, Honor Blackman took delight in embarrassing interviews by a reporter mentioning the character's name. This was the second most popular Bond film with playing audience, raking up 130 million ticket sales. Next Bond movie, Thunderball, suppressed it in popularity with 140 paid admissions. The success of this movie and Thunderball propelled Sean Connery to the top of Quigley population annual top 10 moneymaker stars in 1965. The movie was so popular that some theatres were holding showings 24 hours a day to meet demand. The scenes of people around Fort Knox passing out from being gassed were shot using the same group of soldiers moving to different locations. During the opening title sequence, all except are scenes from the movie except some footage from Russell Love and the 1963 helicopter chase sequence and the cab key explosion from Dr. No. All of the scenes from the opening titles were projected onto the body of Margaret Nolan, who played Dink in the film. Her appearance in the sequence is longer than Shirley Eaton appears in the film. She wears a blue bikini and features in the soundtrack cover, which Eaton does not wear in their scenes. So Alfred Hitchcock's favourite scene was when the old lady fires a machine gun. During the Fort Knox fight, the clock on the bomb was originally intended to stop at the time of 03, but then the producers decided to stop at Bond's ID number 007. Producers Harry Saltzman and Albert R. Broccoli were so determined to get Honor Blackman for the part of Pussy Galore that he had the actress' ability to perform judo written into the script. Due to the popularity and the success of this movie and its spy car, the Aston Martin DB5, the vehicle gained nicknamed the most famous car in the world. Sales of the Aston increased 50% after the release of the movie. The Bond movie The Spy Who Loved Me features the Lotus Esprit, and sales also increased for that car after the movie premiered. Oddjob never speaks in this movie. His only dialogue is, on the golf course. 2 hours were already meant to pick up Tilly after he hit with his hat. Grunt, which attends Bond gas masks on the back of the army truck, and he screamed to fight with Bond. Source novel explains he is unable to speak due to a plait. To shoot Pussy Galore's flying circus, gassing the soldiers, the pilots were only allowed to fly above 3,000 feet. Director Guy Hamilton recalled this was hopeless. So we flew about 500 feet and then we went absolutely ape. Equipment and gadgetry was not developed for the Aston Martin car, which was not used in the finished film. These include front and back overriders for ramming other vehicles and weapons tire under the driver's seat, highlights chambers cutting for firing at enemies. Exchange between Bond and his caddy, Goldfinger's golf ball, that's his original ball, Arnold Palmer, at the caddy standing on the ball in the novel, then switched to Bond with the ball for the movie. As producers, Harry Sobin thought it would give Bond a more cheeky image. In the original title sequence end credits, which featured the famous James Bond return in a teaser, next movie was advertised on Her Majesty's Secret Service. However, when the producers began pre-production, they were unable to secure the switch locations needed for the movie and decided to make Thunderball 1965, and the end teaser was changed to Thunderball. The titles. First movie to feature a title song plays our opening credits from Russia with Love. It had a title song but never played over the closing credits. Title song for the first three songs sung by Shirley Bassey for Bond movies, their others being Diamonds Are Forever and Moonraker. Goldfinger was sung the first James Bond title song to crack the Billboard Top 10, peaking at number 8 in February 1965. The vault door using Forks Knox scene is located at the west in Los Alamos, California, although considering it was built in Pinewood Studios, and leftover set was pre-purposed as a stocks in this. The original choice for the spy car of this movie is not the Aston Martin DB5, but an E-Type Jaguar, which cost half as much. The golf scenes in the movie shot at Stoke Pringus Golf Club, Slough, England, not far from Pinewood Studios. There's now a James Bond themed bar at the golf course. Interested in golf developed by Sean Connery, said to have spawned during the filming. Auric Goldfinger is the name of the gold-obsessed villain. Auric means gold or golden. The villain's first name, Auric, is related to Latin word for gold. Some of Pussy Galore's all-women flying circus were played wearing blonde wigs. Jack Lloyd was approached to return as CIA agent Felix Leiter, but he declined. He played him in Doctor No 1962. The role was recast, beginning a succession of different actors to the role. Only David Edison and Jeffrey Wright played the role more than once. Despite the impressive movie debut as Tilly, that was model Tilly's only major role. She had previously tested for Tanya Romanoff part in From Russia with Love. First appearance of Q Branch workshop in the gadget testing gags. The idea of Aston Martin's revolving number plates come from Guy Hamilton, who had just been leaving the bus station to receive a parking ticket. Shirley Eaton, gilded completely in gold, featured on the cover of Life magazine on November 6, 1964. A few scenes in the final cut features Greg Bobby's real voice and not Michael Collins. During the line "expecting crime," Alex stood in one example, but more obvious in the dialogue spoken. Just after Bond escapes from his cell, Goldfinger's line, "The underworld will rock with applause for centuries." Gert Fröbe was dubbed in scenes where Goldfinger plays golf, as he couldn't get the hang of the game. This is the only movie where just Sean Connery, James Bond, orders a martini shaken, not stirred. In Dr. No, everyone who served him said it was himself or herself. This was the first feature film that Bond Pierce Brosnan saw in theatres. The movie earned back its production costs of $3 million in just 2 weeks. Auric Goldfinger and his henchman Oddjob are considered two of the great movie villains. Like many great movie villains, the actors portraying them are quite the opposite of the screen characters. Fellow cast members have remarked how charming and friendly Gert Fröbe and Arnold were off camera. Co-producer Albert Albuquerque cast Fröbe and him in the singing and dancing in Chitty Chitty Bang Bang in 1968. For a long time, this movie was tied with Dr. No as the shortest James Bond film, running time of 1 hour and 15 minutes. In order to simulate the sound of crumping metal in the car compressor, sound effects editor used all the sound of beer cans. The battle aboard Goldfinger's jet was originally a long sequence where Bond fought Goldfinger and one of his henchmen. The henchman can be glimpsed when the Goldfinger steps into the cabin, and his body can be seen tumbling around inside the airplane. Yeah, well, if you look carefully when you watch the movie Goldfinger again, you can see Goldfinger's henchman in the background, if you look carefully, as Goldfinger confronts Bond. If you look carefully, you see it. And Anthony Newley were asked to create lyrics for the iconic theme song, but when composer John Barry played them first 3 notes, Basie and Newland looked at each other saying, "What? Wider than a mile to the Moon River," the popular theme song from Breakfast at Tiffany's. John Barry was not amused. The world premiere was held on Thursday, September the 17th, 1964, at Odeon Theatre, Leicester Square, London. Sean Connery could not attend due to film commits from The Hill. A specially designed Goldfinger piece of jewellery and designed by British designer for Honor Brockman for the premiere and 2 for the movie. Sean Connery drove an Aston Martin down the Elysee for the French premiere of the movie. On this occasion, 16 women were glued like Shirley Eaton character of the movie. One woman mobbed Connery and got in the car after the incident. Connery stopped attending James Bond premieres until You Only Live Twice. The character of Sylvia Trench was originally intended to turn in this movie after appearing in Dr. No and From Russia with Love. However, this was scrapped when Guy Everton became director. Shortly after this movie came out, Corgi Toys released a die-cast model of the B5 a silver one and a limited edition gold one. Upon accepting his role as Goldfinger, Gert Furby was asked by producers if he had any private interests, in which he replied that he loved football as a result, and Rolls-Royce would later arrive on every Saturday at his London hotel to drive him to weekend matches. And so he was a bit of a... he liked football, did he? Didn't know that. A scene where Felix would be explaining to the town's plan of faking their deaths to trick Goldfinger was cut, as it made Felix seem too heroic compared to Bond. In it was Felix and his agents who would save Fort Knox and Bond. The scene was leaked online but quickly removed by Eon and has never been officially released. As Goldfinger's car is being loaded into the airport in Geneva, the license plate AU1 is visible. AU is a chemical symbol for the element gold. During the seasons where James explored the Auric Enterprise complex, it's actually mostly the backstage buildings on the original Pinewood Studios backlot, which really do look like an industrial estate, unlike many other major studios. Pinewood doesn't have the fake theme building fires on their buildings, such as huge sounds. However, they have built temporary and semi, depending on production requirements. The surname of Tilly Masterson and Jill Masterson was changed to Masterson for the movie. Ian Fleming said to have based the Masterson name on Sir John Masterman, a leading Oxford and former MI5 agent. It is now speculated that Goldfinger was based on a German spy who, amongst other things, once tried to rob the Bank of England during World War I. The story has only recently come to light, but Ian Fleming, as very high-ranking officer in the Naval Intelligence, would have had access to these records. The Beatles and James Bond have a long and had a strained relationship in the movies. Sean Connery, Bond says driving Grand Prix at about 38 degrees Fahrenheit would be as bad as listening to the Beatles without earmuffs. Paul McCartney doesn't seem to have been overly offended by this remark. He later, the band Wings continued to Live and Let Die. Barbara Brock, who starred in The Spy on Me and ended up marrying Ringo Starr. Vault, used to double as Fort Knox, was located in the former headquarters of the Midland Bank, now part of the HSBC in London. The building has now undergone a change for use into an hotel. When American censors did not interfere with the name in this movie, they refused to allow the name Pussy Galore to appear on promotional materials, and in the US market that was something called Miss Galore, or Goldfinger's personal pilot. Mind you, back then in the 60s, the censors back then were a bit nervous about things like that. Honor Blackman is the oldest ever actress to play Bond's love interest, being 39 years old at the time of filming. Her nearest counterpart is Maud Adams, who was 38 when Octopus was 1980 was released. Honor Blackman is 5 years older than Sean Connery, one of the two Bond girls older than the actor playing James Bond, Sean Connery. The other is Dame Diana Rigg, which is 1 year older than George Lazenby from Her Majesty's Secret Service. The budget, an estimated £3 million, or the same with the first two Bond movies combined. $1 million for Dr. No, and $2 million from Russia with Love. George Lazenby and Pierce Brosnan named this as their favourite Bond film. This is the only Eon Sir Sean Connery Bond movie that doesn't end with Bond at sea. The original end teaser, James Bond Will Return, it announced that the next movie would be on Her Majesty's Secret Service. However, there were pre-production issues on Her Majesty's Secret Service, so the producers decided to make Thunderball instead. However, by the time that decision was reached, this movie was already in theatres. Eventually, the teasers were altered to advertise Thunderball. There are still some prints of the movie with on Her Majesty's Service tag. Occasionally, this tag can be seen in some television prints and early VHS tapes. On Her Majesty's Secret Service was made after Thunderball and the honorary prize after Sean Connery's first departure from the series. The title sequence was inspired by seeing light projected on people's bodies as they got up and left the theatre. With this movie, Sean Connery's salary rose, but a pay dispute later broke out during filming, and he suffered a back injury when filming the scene where Odd Job knocks Bond unconscious in Miami. The dispute was settled. Eon and Connery agreed to a deal where Connery would receive 5% of the gross each Bond movie he starred in. John Barry described his work on this movie as his favourite, of saying it was the first time I had complete control writing the score and the song. Mind you, a James Bond film without John Barry is not a James Bond film, is it? Or the Daniel Craig films haven't got any music at all. It's not the same, is it? A John Barry James Bond film without John Barry music. With the passing of Sir Sean Connery on the 10th of the 1st, 2020, Shirley Eaton, who played Jill Matheson in the last surviving star of the movie, Honor Blackman, died on the 4th of the 5th, 2020, followed by Myra Nolan, who played Dink, the masseuse. 6 months later, on the 10th of the 5th, and then Connery died within 3 weeks of each other. In the movie, Goldfinger states that by radiation of the gold in Fort Knox, it would raise the value of gold many times. If he had waited 8 years, he would have got his wish. In 1972, all the countries went off gold standard, allowing gold to rise, and silver did in 1965. British actress Margaret Nolan, who starred in several of the popular Carry On films, not only played Dink in this movie, she was also the woman in the gold body and bikini, the opening title sequence. She said in 2007 interview that it took 3 weeks to film and she was paid a lot of money, more than she made in her life. She was also going to be in Golden Girl, so he posed record cover, the book cover, but then she decided not to because she would have to travel promoting the film for 2 years. Operation Grand Slam was the actual code name for the Soviet overflight mission by the CIA pilot Francis Gary Powers, during which his Lockheed U-2C biplane SEAL was shot down by the Soviet surface-to-air missile on May the 1st, 1960. The only line that Shirley delivers in her real voice is "not too early." First opening credit sequence to show the actor playing James Bond. This is by utilising footage for the first 2 James Bond films, Dr. No and From Russia with Love. The technique was repeated in Her Majesty's Secret Service 1969. The first time I'm actually playing James Bond, and it would be part of the actual title sequence. By the way of footage edited into the wood did not occur until The Spy Who Loved Me. Well, I hope you've enjoyed the video, my Goldfinger Trivia. Like, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you again in the next one.